Welcome to the HR Happy Hour Work Break. I'm with Karen Hunter today. Hey, Karen, what's up? How are you?
Hey, it is good to be back on again.
Yeah, good to have you back. It's been a few days, right? How are you?
I've been doing pretty good, I'm kind of getting used to this. Got the kids in college.
That's a big
And
step. I know you were talking about that, right?
yeah, so like I've got one who's gone away. He's doing great. He's loving it. Nick's having a great time. And in the meantime, Hallie's taken over his area of the basement. So there's like
Oh, wow. That
no
was quick.
kids, no kids on the main floor. So yeah, it's an adjustment, but everybody's doing great. They like being back, being around people. It seems a little more
Yeah.
normal. Yep.
Yeah, the whole transition back to college is going to be an ongoing story all fall long. I think I said this on the show, I think, and apologies if I'm repeating it. My son decided not to go back. He's
Right.
taking the semester off, and we'll see what happens in January. But then actually, I'm wearing the BU shirt today. That's where
You
he goes.
are.
But yeah, so good. Well, that's exciting. So, I was reading something. I don't, and it's something that's bothered me for a while. So I thought I'd talk about it on the show today because this is kind of where I talk about things. It was a piece that was I read online. It was in the Stylist magazine, which I'm not familiar with, but the
Okay.
piece like really struck me, and it was about being the person kind of writing an essay about being a bad replier, right? They're like whether it's emails or texts or WhatsApp messages, you name it, right? Like there, and it resonated with me because I am a very bad replier. I just am, pretty much no matter what the medium is. I'm generally pretty awful at it. And I was thinking, and I was reading this article, it kind of really resonated with me because, like, yeah, that's me. And it also gave a little bit of justifications for it. And I'll tell you the reason why that resonated with me the most, why I'm a bad replier. I'd love to hear what you think about it. And which is this, especially with text messages and those types of short messages. Like sometimes I want to think about my reply a little bit.
Hmm.
Like I'm not really ready to reply. So I'll see the message and I'll read it in that instant, right? Because like most of us, like a text for sure, I get a notification on my phone, so I almost always read them pretty quickly. But if I'm not ready to write back, I close it and then I'll forget about it, or I might not get another. I don't get a lot of texts either, so it may be another 10 or 12 or a day, until I get another text. And then I'll see, oh my God, that person texted me 3 days ago and I never got back to them. And then you feel awful because, like, how do you reply to a 3-day-old text? I don't know. I'm awful at replying.
Exactly. You know what? I feel like I tend to be a good replier, I think, but there are some times, definitely more than once, where I feel like I've answered it in my head. Like I read it and I think I've answered it. And then, yeah, 2 days later, somebody's like, hey, what about this? I'm like, oh, I didn't send that. Sorry. Or emails that get stuck in drafts.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
need
yeah,
to
yeah.
send them, but you don't. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard. It's really
Yeah.
hard. But you know what? Messages are coming from, so many different areas now. I mean,
Yeah.
not just text, right?
I'm
We've
glad.
got every platform available.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that leads me to the second part of why I wanted to talk about this. The tech world, somebody needs to invent this. Maybe I should, if I can figure out how. There needs to be like a universal auto respond app. Like, you on your email, if you go on vacation, say, right, you can say, oh, auto reply, I'm going to be out for a week, that's when I'll get back to you. But I don't think any of the other services we use that have messaging capability, right, have that kind of feature, right?
Right.
And they certainly don't interoperate at all anyway. Even if they did, like our email does it, but none of the other services can do it, right? And so, because even though you put that autoresponder on, you're still maybe getting text or you're getting emails on other accounts or you're getting LinkedIn messages or whoever, right? All the different places people can contact you. So there needs to be a universal auto reply. Someone needs to invent that.
I would agree. And you know what? Another step to that could even be, because I think for me, for those of us who don't have a home phone anymore, right? People think your phone's with you at all times. So I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times, you'll get a text or two or three before you even get your phone. It's like, I'm sorry, I was outside. My phone wasn't on. So it's like if your phone isn't within, so many feet of you or something, it's like, could there just be a message like, sorry, she's not near her phone. Like,
Oh, I see what you mean, like a
she's not
proximity
ignoring
thing.
you.
That's clever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. because I know we have these things like if you're driving in your car, if you've got your phone connected through your car, right? Like a lot of those services will text back immediately to someone that says, sorry, I'm driving right now.
Right. So like if your phone has stayed in the same position for say 10 to 15 minutes, that it automatically just starts sending those auto replies. Sorry, she's not near the phone.
Yeah.
That would be.
That reminds, yeah, so I'm going to work on that whenever I get some time. I'm going to work on that universal I'm not around right now. That would be pretty cool.
That would be great. I think that's.
Yeah. So the other thing I've been doing, I'm like in the middle of trying to read 2 different books at the same time, which is a stretch for me. Like it's actually reading 1 book at a time is a stretch for me, but I'm working on 2 right now. And so I wanted to just mention this one that I'm like about halfway through. It's called How Not to Be Wrong.
Okay.
Power of Mathematical Thinking. This is a book I bought a few years ago and started because as I picked it up again off the shelf,
Right.
like the first 60 odd pages or so, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember all this because it was like a really good kind of example I used in a bunch of presentations a few years ago. But it's really all about how to take these really esoteric math concepts. It's really, maybe say it differently. It's, like, did your kids ever complain to you about math class?
Oh, absolutely.
Like with like, why am I ever going to use this kind of line, right? So this whole book is written around that premise of, here's how you use this. Like not so much in the very practical sense, like you'll be solving these math problems in your real life, but how you apply the concepts and the things you learn and the way of thinking about math problems and complex math into everyday life. It's really good on that level, but it's also like I was never good at math, and there's a lot of math in the book, so it's super complicated as well. So I'm struggling with that. Did you ever have this? Did you ever have like a book you were reading? Maybe not when you had to read. I mean, like just for your own personal enjoyment. That was so hard, and you couldn't decide if this is too complicated for me. I'm just going to quit, because that's where I'm at with this book, and I've been at it like 3 times. And this is the 3rd time through it. I'm trying to get through it. It's tough.
I don't know. You know what? That's a hard one. Nothing comes to mind that I could say that I've just had to put down, but now I'm interested in looking at that one. Like,
all right,
how difficult this is. Like, I may have to get this.
Yeah, when I finish it, I'll send it to you. It's really good. It had a great example. I presented this idea a few years, a couple of times. There's a great example in the book about how they solved the problem in World War II of how to best put protective armor on the U.S. fighter planes, right, to protect them. But also, like, the deal was you want the armor on them to protect them from the enemy fire. But if you put too much armor on the plane, right, it's heavy, and you use more gas, and it slows down the planes, and they're less maneuverable, right? So the answer is not as simple as just put all kinds of armor on the plane.
Right.
So the answer is somewhere in the middle. And they struggled in the first part of the war of trying to figure out, well, where should we put armor on the planes? And it turns out it was a math problem at the end of the day, which you wouldn't have really guessed. And it's interesting how they solved it, right? And there was one super genius math person in the book that they highlighted to solve it. It's too complicated for me in like a minute left. We're going to do the show to talk about, but if you Googled it, I'm sure the story is online or something. It's like, just Google like where to put the armor on the fighter planes World War II, and the story will probably pop up. It's a super interesting story. So.
I'll have to check that
Yeah,
out.
so I'm working on that.
Might be something interesting for math teachers. High school math teachers, because isn't that what they're there to teach? Is not just the math, but how are you going to use this? How does this help you think?
Yeah.
No one really answers that question ever.
Yeah. And last random thought I had, Karen, was I think it'd be cool to have a first name that was spelled the same both forwards and backwards.
Really?
I think that'd be cool. Like, yeah, I came up with 4. Maybe you know more. I came up with Otto, Hannah, the easiest one, Bob.
Bob, yeah.
And Anna, A-N-N-A.
Okay.
I don't know why I thought that. That's what I'm thinking about today.
Just something fun to have, right? So that you can say that.
That's right. Oh, and I had a quick poll too I wanted to put up for the show for anybody watching this later.
Oh, there we go.
What are you going with?
I'll B.
B's right. You got it right. That's the answer. All right. I think with that said, I think I'm getting a little punchy. It's hot here. It's not quite the end of the day, but maybe I do need to step back from the show. This was fun.
Yes, it's been nice.
All right, good stuff. So check out all the show archives, the work breaks, the happy hours, the Alexa show, the other shows on the network, all at hrhappyhour.net. Karen does an amazing job of keeping that site up, so I wanted to shout that out. Thank you for what you do there. And thanks everybody for listening to the show. Check us out. We'll be back here tomorrow for the Big Friday show. That'll be super exciting. So thanks everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Have a great day.